Hi, everybody. Mike Sokolowski coming to you live from the state capital of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. I'm in the office of Pennsylvania State Representative Kyle Mullins, who is going to kick off Advocacy Day at bright and early, 7:30 tomorrow morning from Harrisburg University as we rally prior to heading over to the Capitol. I want to welcome you all here today for our session on engaging through public affairs and social media. Before we do that, as always, we will start with a little trivia. Today's trivia is, get your Google fingers ready. The United States Supreme Court has how many justices?
12, 13. How
Put it in
many
the chat.
justices?
Put it in the chat. Put it in the
How
chat.
many?
Chat.
So,
Put it in the chat. No, 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 no.
I can't figure out where my
Erica.
chat is.
Oh, we got a winner. Erica Winton was the first to select 9. I have to go
On my
off
chat either.
of the chat. And now I will give you a bonus. Here's the bonus. 9 isn't a mandatory number. It has only been for the last 200 years. Who determines how many justices there are on the Supreme Court?
Who determines it? President?
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. There we go. We have a winner. It is Tempest Sherrill. Congress determines how many justices there are. There were 6 until 1869, and that's when they changed it to 9. And Congress can change it anytime.
Oh, fuck yes. Give me one.
So if before we get started, I'm gonna ask everyone to please mute. I see some people were upset that they lost the trivia, and we will get started. So today I'm joined by Director of Public Affairs, Elisa Marone, and our Senior Manager of Public Relations and Social Media, Marissa Fogel. They're going to go over on ways to engage and advocate via public affairs outreaches and social media. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Marissa to start sharing the screen.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let me get this going here. All right, here we are. Elisa, you want to kick us off and start the intros?
Yeah, and I think that I can't control the slides. You have to do it, right? Okay.
Yep. So just tell me whenever you want me to move over.
All right, cool. Well, hi for everybody who doesn't know me yet. I think I know a lot of you. I'm Elisa Marone. I've been at Bayada for 7 years. And then within the Government Affairs Office / Hearts for Home Care, whatever you want to call it, don't tell the IRS that we still don't know. Marissa and I focus a lot on making sure that our advocates are engaged in social media and earned media. But Marissa, do you have anything you want to say about yourself?
No, I have been doing the social media and public affairs with Elisa for the past 3 or 4 years now, and we're really excited to just share some tidbits of information that we've learned along the way and how you can get involved in our public affairs and social media programs.
Thanks. Next slide. And then this is just what we'll be going over today, but we can skip to the next. So you guys know how really the general gist of everything, in terms of Hearts for Home Care, our goal is always to raise awareness of home care and its challenges and let legislators know specifically why home care is important and why we need their support. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and people don't know what home care is unless we're sharing our voices, letting them know not only is home care important, but it's important in your communities, and it's important for these families, and this is how you can support us. That is a lot of securing adequate resources, making sure we have the rates to provide the adequate wages to our staff, and to, make sure that they have the right supplies and training and everything like that. Other than reimbursement rates, making sure that whatever policies our service offices, and others in the industry are asking about, like say there's some sort of new administrative burden or something like that, that's really cutting into our ability to, you know, care for clients as seamlessly as possible. That's something we would be interested in, possibly fixing so that we are making sure we're, you know, providing the services as best as possible without any interruptions. And then you guys, of course, engaging the wider home care community and advocacy. We recognize that we can't do it ourselves and we need you guys to share your voices. So how we accomplish them: direct lobbying, grassroots advocacy, which is you guys here now, and then public affairs and social media. So that was kind of the last leg that we started with, or the last leg of government affairs that we put together. With lobbying, obviously, that's us telling the legislators, you know, this is what we want, here's the data and everything like that. We realized that we can't do it on our own, that we need the voices and the individual stories from you guys. And then public affairs and social media means broadcasting it out beyond legislators, because just telling legislators face to face what we think they should do and what we think they should support only gets us part of the way. Really persuading them and putting the pressure on there is to driving that narrative publicly. So kind of like, you know, making sure that they kind of put their money where their mouth is, you know what I mean? I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, and then in general, what Marissa and I do is we want to drive general public awareness, just like at the national level, basically like, hey, this is what home care is, this is why it's important, and it needs to be funded properly. Then we get into more specific state campaigns. So when we need something done in one of our states where we do a lot of advocacy in, we work with the Hearts for Home Care staff, the associations, et cetera, other providers, clients from any organization, nurses from any organization, and other people to drive specific legislative goals in certain states. So right now, for example, we're working in New Jersey on a PDN and PCA rate increase. So we're hoping that the government in New Jersey will increase the budget to provide better rates for both PDN and PCA services. And then in PA, we're looking for the government to, by June 30th, which is when the budget is due, standardize the PDN rates so that they're not just all over the map and they're a little bit more consistent across the boards, because right now in PA, there's 1 bajillion different rates for LPN care, RN care, this region, that region, home care for seniors, home care for the IDD population, the developmentally disabled population, and for the pediatric population. So we're asking them to standardize that. So we are the people who can get the cameras there and get in front of the camera and get the reporter's attention, but the subject matter expert is obviously you guys. You have the stories and we want to highlight them. Next slide. And I just wanted to really quickly, it's just 2 slides, quickly go over how Marissa and I build a campaign and then where you come in. So a lot of times, traditionally speaking, we would determine with leadership and with the industry and all of that what our goal is. Like, for example, like a 10% increase to the PDN rate, or the PCA rate, or whatever acronym or whatever it might be. That's really well and good, and that's something that maybe legislators and staffers understand, but we don't just determine the goal, we determine the message we want to communicate. So we don't just say, we think that you guys should increase the LPN rates by 10%. We have to make it apply to families and people that are their constituents and people that they serve. So we'll change the message to increase this funding so that families who have medically fragile, you know, loved ones can access the care they need to stay at home. Then we find the spokespeople to carry the message. It used to be that us as direct lobbyists would carry the message. So we would be the ones just going into people's legislators' offices and sharing with them why we think they need to increase these rates or whatever it might be. But we've been trying to get away from that because that's not really a story anymore. You know, talking head, somebody, an old guy in a suit, like that's cool maybe on CNN to talk about some policy, but really on the 6 o'clock news, when you're talking about your communities, they want to see the moms that are struggling, the seniors in our communities that are struggling to get care, that are threatening to have to go to nursing homes and all of that. So it's no longer the people in suits anymore. It's really you guys, the people that are delivering the care and the people that are receiving the care. The news still likes to make sure that they're telling the truth, which I think is very important. I know there might be some debate out there, but they do check their facts and they're making sure that they're reporting stuff that's true. I can barely say that with a straight face. I'm talking about like the 6 o'clock news, not the money making conglomerates on the national media who are, you know, peddling whatever for votes or whatever it might be. I'm talking about like, you know, the real stuff that's going on, the real news. I still have faith in the news. So we are always supporting the narrative with facts and data. So we can say so much to like a legislator, like, oh yeah, there's so many shifts that are missed. It's just crazy. Like all these families are experiencing missed shifts, but credibility and honesty and transparency are really important in the news and in what the roles that we play and what we do. So they want to report on things that are factual. So we can't just share stories and pull at the heartstrings. We have to share those stories and pull at those heartstrings and then back it up with data. And then lastly, really the end of the message is the lobbying message. Like, here's the legislative solution. All this stuff wouldn't happen to these families, these medically fragile individuals in our communities if the legislature would increase the reimbursement rate. So if that doesn't make sense, that's cool. I also hate abstract thinking, so I'm going to put it into like more of a actionable example. Marissa, next slide. So just using like, I don't even think I named a state in here. I made this like a totally fake example. So say we wanted to increase the private duty nursing rate by 14% to bring it to $50 an hour. That's great to share with like a staffer in the legislature, but that's really not something that people are going to care about, or people are going to say, oh, I want to make sure I vote for somebody who is supporting home care and is supporting medically fragile families. So we turn the message into increased funding for nurses for the state's most medically fragile children. That makes a lot more sense than the first one, right? Then finding the spokespeople to carry the message. You know, instead of having Mike Sokolowski or Louise Lindenmeyer or somebody from government affairs sharing the message about how this like affects people that they know or people in offices that they know or something like that. We want it to come from the horse's mouth, right? So we want to see perhaps a family in one part of the state that sees like one certain like North Jersey messaging, or like the east side of the state might see like more of the market, the TV news market might be different there than the west side or whatever. So picking different areas of the state to share the same message. So this is accurately depicted as a statewide issue, right? So the family in the north parts of the state, we might want them to go on camera and share how like missed shifts affect their ability to work and to make sure that they're taking their children to school and sleeping and all of that. And then maybe to show the other side of the issue, we would also want to show a nurse or like a former nurse who left home care to work at a hospital, and they can share how they love home care nursing. They think it's important, but they need to provide for their family so they can make $15 more an hour at the hospital. Like, of course, they're going to work at the hospital. I will talk about in an upcoming slide, like a lot of times media is scary. So I know that a lot of times when we have an issue, it's something like we don't want to share. We only want to share what's nice and fluffy and good. Like that's a marketing perspective, right? We want to show how Bayada is the best, or whatever company we work with. Like we provide the best services and we're the #1 provider. So look at how great our services are and how much coverage we get and how compassionate our nurses are. Yes, we do want to market that. That serves its purpose. But for these purposes, you know, legislators aren't going to be convinced to increase funding for a program if the program is fully staffed and perfectly funded and everything's well and good and everybody's very happy, right? So a lot of times we have to show the negative part in order to show people the issues and get what we want, and be transparent about what's going on and what families have issues and how we need their support to fix it. Supporting the narrative with data and facts would be the third thing that we do. So anything that can prove what we're saying is true is always helpful. So a lot of times I'll share when I work with reporters and pitch them a story and say, hey, you should cover this important issue. Here's what's going on. There's this family that's in your coverage area that can't get any nurses and they can't bring their baby home from the NICU or something like that. And here's the data to back it up. I'm not just making this up. This is happening across the state and across the region. Here's some postings where you can see, like, we can't pay nurses what they can pay at this local hospital that was just built. A lot of times recruitment and retention data is excellent because it shows that we're having difficulty hiring. And just historical stuff. I mean, you can see how the gas prices and milk prices have changed. Like, think about if your salary has been the same for 10 years, but everything else has gone up by 20%. You know, that's something that resonates with regular people. And then backing into the legislative solution, we take all these three things and then we wrap it up with a nice bow and say, this is a solvable issue. I think that's it for this slide. Next slide. So I hope that's helpful in kind of painting a picture of how Marissa and I tend to do this stuff on behalf of the entire industry. But like I said, we are just kind of like the media experts or like the strategists behind all this. We really need you guys to be the ones that are sharing your stories and being the ones that are helping us to identify what's out there and what can be solved using media. Media is a really powerful tool. And I'm not talking, like I said, I'm not talking about national news media. I'm talking about the 6 o'clock news. I'm talking about when you're sitting at the bus stop and there's the free paper next to it and you grab one and look at the paper. I'm talking about what legislators look at to see what's going on with their constituents. Their local media is really important to them. So what I look for a lot of times and rely really heavily on you guys for is identifying the stories that we need, especially when Marissa and I are doing a state campaign. A lot of times we or somebody else from our staff will reach out and say, hey, we're looking for PDN clients. We're looking for, you know, people in seniors and adults in this program that we're trying to increase funding for. Can you find us somebody that has these services and might be a good person to be on camera? And then Marissa and I are the ones that interview them and vet them. Like, if, you know, Miss Mary Smith is like a little wild and she might go a little rogue on camera and talk about how, I don't know, she loves her nephew or something, that's okay. We can talk to Miss Mary Smith and see if we can keep her on message. And if we can't, that's okay. We might want to use her picture on social media or write an op-ed on her behalf or something like that. A lot of times the parents that are angry where their services, they can't get the services that they need for their kid, that anger can really be channeled into something better. Like, it's all about the way that we put it to them, right? It's not, well, we want you to go on camera and talk about how crappy Bayada is, right? We want you to go on camera and share why not having services is impacting you. So it's all about, you know, finding the right people and giving them the right tools to be able to advocate for themselves. Be your eyes and ears. Is there something happening in your office? And I'm not talking about something happy, like some sort of ribbon cutting or anything like that. Is there something that you see with multiple cases? Like, a lot of people are getting their hours dropped or something like that. What's going on? That's something that the media can be really helpful with in terms of putting on pressure to, you know, make something that's wrong right again. We've had issues with insurance companies before, where a lot of insurance companies were kind of trying to do the same thing and they thought they were being sneaky, but we saw it with a lot of our clients. And so we were able to say, hey, this looks like a pattern. If I were the news, I'd probably want to look into this. And they did. And it did fix the issue. It's kind of amazing how much a little pressure can go a long way. And then just empowering your fellows, like that's what you guys do as ambassadors and as advocates. It's not just about being the voice yourself, but encouraging others to do so. Next slide. So this is just like, this is what I love doing. This is what I love about my job. And this is my last slide. So I won't be long here, but I wanted to kind of see if you guys wanted to kind of like get engaged here and shout out your answers. So what we do a lot of times is that we take a bad story and use it to our advantage. So media isn't scary. They're not busting down our doors to talk about how we didn't, I don't even know, fill out a form fully or something like that. They are there in a lot of ways to help us. We are trying, our mission is to help people and help people access care. And they are a tool that is our friend that we can leverage in a lot of ways. So instead of thinking of something bad as something that we can't share, it might be helpful to flip the script and see how it can be helpful in the media. So I'm going to put out a scenario, and then you guys, maybe if you want to, you can put in the chat or unmute yourself and share what you would do in that situation in terms of turning it into a media story, or how you would flip the script and spin the story and message it. So a client had a great aide, and that aide left because they can make whatever, $25 an hour driving for Amazon. Now the client has a new aide, but she's not reliable. So this new aide, I don't know, plays on her phone, and she's just not, you know, the compassionate, reliable aide she used to have. And this one's kind of lazy. So the client is mad. What do you guys think?
If you don't want to say it, you could use the chat. You could always put your messages in the chat. I know sometimes people don't want to speak on camera. That's fine. Use the chat feature in the bottom.
So how could you make the story so that if a reporter knocked down your door and said, hey, you guys hired a lazy aide, and this lady had a good aide, and now she has a crappy aide. What's going on with that? Why would Bayada provide like crappy services to this poor
I would
lady?
say I would say something about like competitive wages. Like we should be able to have competitive wages with other markets, you know, like Amazon and things like that. So that way we can keep you know, high quality aides and nurses and things like that.
For sure. And thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you to Katie and Rebecca too. That's exactly right. I mean, it really depends on how we want to shape the story. Like I would say maybe the old aide, maybe did she leave because she thinks that Beata sucks and like she doesn't want to, I probably wouldn't put her on camera maybe, but maybe we could have the client talk about how she understands, like she loves her aides, like these services keep her at home, and she understands that, but she also understands that they need to make a living wage. And I think that the reporters would be really responsive to, hey, our hands are tied by the reimbursement rate. We don't just have to pay for the wage, we have to pay for all these other things. And these wages or these rates haven't been increased in 10 years. Like, what are we supposed to do? Amazon's over here paying twice as much as we can. Like, this job is so important, and we provide compassionate services, and we need to be able to attract the compassionate, reliable people to provide these services. And we can't do that.
Well, Lisa, you got a lot of traction in the chat. If you want to check it out, there's some answers coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good.
All of these are exactly right. There's so many different ways to spin the story to make it so it's not reflecting, it's not dishonest. It's not saying that Bayada is the best and we have to hide everything that's bad. It's using something bad to paint a story that's the truth. That's sharing why we need better supports to support our clients. Second one is mom is frustrated because there's a revolving door of nurses, and this is so frustrating to her because every single, you know, the nurses know like the trig and vent and stuff like that, but every day, every time a new nurse comes in, she has to show how her daughter likes to be, you know, whatever, fruit peeled in a certain way or whatever. So how mom's mad, and how would you spin this story, Gina?
Actually, I have a case that pretty much one of my cases has basically been that story. And it is frustrating. I think we're finally getting to the point where we have a steady flow of nurses for mom, but it is very frustrating for mom because every time they come in, they have to, like, he has to learn new people and has to relearn, like, everybody that comes in, that walks in the door.
Yeah.
So it is really frustrating. And with mom, with her work schedule, and she's, she's the wage earner, like, for the most, like, she carries the benefits and she has no, like, flexible time left. Like, she has used all of her time with all of his appointments. So, she has to have nurses in the home. So
Yeah.
it's frustrating for staff. And then I have another case again. It's just two of us. It's a set of twins. It's two of us. There's two nurses. We split the week in half. But I mean, if we're going on vacation and we have one of the nurses going on maternity leave and mom's like, what are we doing for, Monday and Tuesday? And we still have no clue who's taking over Monday and Tuesday. And she's, basically I just found out that she's going to be on maternity leave next week. And and mom's like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And we have backup nurses that we've trained. Like, we have 2 or 3 backup nurses, but they put them on other cases. So there's never a float nurse. And like, if I need to take a day off or I need to go, like, I'm going on vacation, like the first vacation since I started with Bayada, that's been more than like a day or 2 at a time. And I'm like, okay, who's gonna have my days? Like, what are we doing? So it's really frustrating that if I need to take a day off, and I took one day off and I was actually willing to go with my clients to school, get them to school, and then I was going to take an Uber home and then, have the nurse at school take over my case because I was leaving at like 11 o'clock in the morning for my trip. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Why am I figuring out the solution to this problem when it should not have been a no-brainer? And I gave my vacation time like in December for like everything through June. So it's not like they didn't know ahead of time.
And what state are you in?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I was like, this sounds like you might be in Pennsylvania. Something that we found in Pennsylvania that's really frustrating with nurses, with nursing care, is that essentially every single way to be a nurse in Pennsylvania, you can get paid more. And I know that nurses aren't just there, they're not nurses because they want to be billionaires or something, right? Right? They're there because they know that that they care about other people and they want to be compassionate and care for them. But when you are in a situation where PA's nursing rates for pediatrics clients and adult clients hasn't been raised enough, and now I'm not even exaggerating, a nurse can make more money in any surrounding state. So you can be a home care nurse in New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, any state that touches Pennsylvania, you can make more money being a home care nurse outside of that state. You can make more money being a home care nurse in Pennsylvania, caring for the IDD population. And you can make more money being a nurse in a hospital or a nursing home. So literally the least amount of money you can make as a nurse in home care
Right.
in Pennsylvania is in home care for pediatrics or adult clients. And so that is something that we want to share with legislators in a way that it's not just me telling them about the reimbursement rates, and the inflation and Ohio's reimbursement rates, right? It's about your story and the client's story and all of that. So a lot of that is about.
And the other issue that with
I don't want to interrupt, but we
I'm sorry.
have a ton of time. So I would love to talk to you more about this maybe after.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, I was gonna say that'll be wonderful. There's a couple of other points that I had, especially when you have multiples like twins and cases like that and reimbursement, because I basically is having 2 clients but getting paid for slightly over 1. So
and I think
yeah.
that all of these points are really important. And then that's one of the things that we do when we talk about how we would want you to go on camera and how we would want the mom to talk about the story too. Is there are a lot of issues, but we have to think about issues like kind of one at a time, because for us this all makes sense, but for somebody who's a reporter, somebody watching the news, they might not be able to in 3 minutes, get all the information and understand everything. So it's all about, how are we framing this and what are our talking points and what are we saying? But it's all about how we spin it and how we frame it. And a lot of times the answer is the state of Pennsylvania has reneged on its duty to provide, access to care for these families. And the state of Pennsylvania needs to increase these reimbursement rates because look how these families are suffering because there's not enough nurses. And that's the end all be all of it. And if we can portray that in one 3-minute clip, that's what we got to do. I'm gonna move on. Gina, I would love to talk to you offline. I'll put my email and cell phone number in the chat and we can talk later. I would love to see if your client that is frustrated, if you could ask them if they'd be willing to speak to the media about this, like that's one way that we can help them. We might not be able to solve their issue and certainly not right away, but it's something that we can empower them to be advocates and share their voices about it. Marissa, I'll let you take over.
All right, well, thank you. And this is great that we already have one person who's looking to get involved in public affairs, and that's exactly what, this presentation was supposed to be about, is just empowering you all to feel comfortable with getting involved and seeing how your voices can really make a difference with the media and then therefore influencing legislators. So just to kind of flip side here, the public affairs program with Elisa and I is also encompassing social media. And I see a few of our social media experts that I rely on very heavily, Caroline, and I see a few others that are on the call here. But really social media started back in 2020 when I know all of us kind of felt this need to connect with people. We were so isolated and everyone was getting their news and entertainment online, including legislators. And so Hearts for Home Care really saw a need to expand and make it more of a prominent part of our advocacy efforts. So, we use social media not only to connect with you all and to build a movement, but then also to connect with legislators who are really active on social media, and not just at the federal level, but at the state and local level as well. So I'm just going to kind of go over what content helps with getting legislators and getting just overall general awareness. And then we'll go into just some good videos that we've gotten to hopefully inspire you to get involved. So,
South Carolina State.
okay, so here we have what makes good content, and right off the bat, you'll see 2 videos on here, and so that's why my third point there says videos, videos, and more videos. I'm sure with all of your when you're on social media and when you're scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and even Twitter, like you see that content is so important in making sure that you are engaged, and people try all different sorts of things to get people's attention. But really what it comes down to are 3 separate things, which is good quality videos and photos. Obviously, nobody wants to see anything blurry or videos that are pixelated, anything like that. People don't really want to engage in that, and neither do legislators. But also, we all have really short attention spans. Unfortunately, that's kind of what COVID has done to all of us. We are so online all the time, and we expect to digest all of our information so quickly that, anything that's difficult to read, hard to make out, things that people can't get the point or the message right away, people don't engage with it. And so here you'll see a picture of an adorable client, a pediatric client. And this was one of our best performing pictures that we had, just because, I mean, look at him. He's so cute. And we focused a whole story around him on social media, just about how, he is thriving and living his best life at home. However, that's only because of the home care that he receives. And if he didn't receive that home care and with those compassionate nurses that make his life so happy and healthy, then he wouldn't be this happy and thriving at home. And so we need legislators to, we kind of back into that point, like Elisa said, where we back into, that's why we need legislators to support home care and to support these programs. Number 2 is sharing personal stories, as Elisa went into very deeply about how important that is. With all the negative news, people really do want to see heartwarming, real life, you know, from their neighbor, from everyday people like us. They want to see that. And, you know, we can really relate to one another whenever we share the struggles or share the triumphs with our community. And legislators, they don't, like Elisa said, they don't really care to hear from us in the suits and the ties, especially when they're on social media, seeing what their constituents are doing and the issues that they have. They really want to see you all. They want to see what's happening in their communities, and videos and posts on social media can really help that. I'm going to play this video. This is from a client and an advocate in Pennsylvania, a mom named Lauren Hubbard, and she's sharing why she advocates for home care and why home care helps her son so much. So let me know if you can't hear it, but we should be good.
Hi, my name is Lauren Hubbard, and this is my son Gunnar, and we're from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We are advocating for home health because Gunnar is able to have a quality of life that he wouldn't be able to have otherwise because of the wonderful care he receives from his nurses at Bayada Pediatrics. Gunnar is able to be at home, do school, get healthy whenever he has a little cold rather than going in the hospital, and that's so appreciated. Because of the nurses and their care, my husband and I are able to work and care for our other child and her needs. And we're just able to do our regular household duties and go to church and just live a somewhat normal life that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. So we are advocating for home health. Thank you.
So she touched on basically everything that we talked about with Elisa before, you know, why home care is so important to her family, what it allows her to do, what would happen if her son didn't have home care, and then, you know, why living a normal life is so important, and she's so grateful to her nurses that allow her family to do that. That is like the epitome of a perfect personal story that we would love for all of you to find, share yourselves, anything like that. And then here is actually Hearts for Home Care Ambassador BT Tabor, who was at the state capitol in South Carolina a couple weeks ago, and sharing why she was there advocating. And so this video is much shorter, but it just kind of explains the short attention spans, right? Sometimes those short tidbit videos are exactly the type of content that gets the point across and gets the job done.
And I'm here, I'm BT Tabor. I'm here at the South Carolina State House, and I'm here advocating for all of our caregivers, clinicians who providing care for our wonderful clients in their home.
So that was short, to the point, and did exactly what we wanted it to do. This also performed really well on social media, just because, like I said, short attention spans and got the job done quickly. And then here is a video from Caroline Pierce, and she is sharing her personal home care story. So this is really what we are looking for from you. We want to know, why do you love home care? Why do you advocate for home care? Why do you appreciate your home caregivers? What would your life be like without the help of in-home caregivers? Why do you believe legislators should care about home care? All of these questions are things that, you know, we can share on social media, and it can have a really big impact. So I'm going to play Caroline's video if she's okay with it. and just for some inspiration.
Hi, I'm Caroline Pearson. I'm a client services manager in our Bayada Hickory Pediatrics office. I advocate for my mammal Dot, who's 96 years young. Growing up, she always said she was a do-it-yourselfer, but at 96 years old, I'm thankful for the amazing caregivers she has that are able to help. I also advocate for the 44 medically fragile children with our office that rely on trustworthy and reliable home care to ensure that they're able to live their best lives at home and with their families.
So this is a great video for inspiration. I'm sure we all have similar stories. I know I'd advocate for home care because of my grandparents too, you know, wanting my grandparents to live at home, age at home, die at home. All of those are very important to me. So Caroline, I just want to let you know on social media, this was our top performing video that we have. It had like, I think it was like 3,000 organic impressions on Instagram, which was pretty good for us, with no money behind it or anything, no ads. So thank you, Caroline, for sharing this awesome story. And then also, if you don't want to record a video, totally understand that. I get it too, video shy. You can also share your story on our website. I think I have a link. Hold on. I just have to figure out how to. No. All right, I will just once we're done, I'll show you where we can find. I linked this, but it's acting up. I can show you where on the website you can actually record your video directly on the website, or you can share your story in this little message box here. So this is where you would find it. On our website, this is under our Get Involved page. We have a bunch of different options to get involved, and here is the one that Elisa and I really, really would love for you to help us with, which is the Share Your Story. When you click on this, it would take you to this page, which shows two different options. You can either message us and just type out a story, your personal home care story, why you advocate, why you think it's important to advocate, and then, or you could send us a video. And if you do send us a video, it'll take you to here, to this page, and you can record a video directly on your iPhone or on your phone or on your computer. And these are all the videos that we've gotten so far from people. So we've gotten some great videos that are living on our website right now from you know, Bayada employees, other organization employees. We have some, you know, parents and grandparents on here. Just some really great content that I encourage you to check it out, and hopefully it inspires you to help us get involved, help get involved in all of this. So then if you are looking to record a video, just some really short video tips. As I said, attention spans are very short, so keep the video short and sweet. 45 seconds or shorter is kind of what I aim for, and then if I go to a minute, that's okay. But the shorter that you make it, whether you're posting it on your own social media to get legislators' attention, or you're, you know, sharing it with us so we can post it on social media, the shorter the better. Also, I love vertically, which is up and down. I always have to remind myself that it's not horizontal, it's up and down. So like a selfie style with your phone, that is kind of the best videos, just because people are usually scrolling through their phone and that's how it'll come up on their phone. It just looks better. But if not, you can also do it on the computer and it'll be horizontal. And then obviously make sure you speak loud enough and enunciate your words. There's no background noise, none of that. And then record in a bright room or outside in good lighting. I strongly encourage the best lighting possible. I tell Mike Sokolowski this all the time when he sends me videos, to try and get it outside or near a window or something like that. And so that's it for right now. I do want to quickly just show you our social media before we wrap up here, and then we can take any questions. So I think I'm gonna have to stop sharing and then reshare. Hold on one second. Okay, so who of you here is a follower of Hearts for Home Care? I want to see all hands raised. Okay, so here's our Instagram page. We have a lot of great videos, a lot of great content on here. And we are always looking for more. Send us a message, you know, do whatever engagement you want, comment, share with legislators. But here's just some posts that are pinned here just to talk a little bit more about who we are. And then we also have our Facebook page, which is Hearts for Home Care Advocacy here. And I share all of our Advocacy Day album photos on here. So if you want to check out some of those and share there. And then we also are on Twitter, or I guess I should say X. X. We're on Twitter as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Echoing. And does anyone have any questions or comments? I know Elisa.
Yeah, if you want to put them in the chat as well. Again, I know some people don't like to come off mute, and that's fine, but you can use the chat. And while you're getting the courage to ask a question, also you could email advocacy@heartsforhomecare.com, and we will get the question to the appropriate person on our team. It doesn't have to be something specific to this. You could always utilize that. But if anyone does have any questions, please bring them up. Also, I want to be clear that Marissa didn't have to say it out loud when she pointed at me, so to speak, about the videos. I also believe I am the guinea pig for the attention span of a video watcher as well. So I'm going to point that out too. And I'm going out to record a video outside of the Capitol, so I'm going to get the lighting all correct after this training call.
Good, Mike. Thank you. I know Elisa put her email in the chat. I'm going to put mine as well and my phone number. If you have any stories that you think you want to share on social media, any clients, any nurses, your own personal story, please contact me and we can see how best to accommodate.
All right. Thank you both to Elisa and Marissa for joining. Again, advocacy at Hearts for Home Care, easiest way to get in touch with any of us. And you should have received the newsletter for all the Hearts for Home Care advocates within the past few days. My colleague Kayok, that is still on this Zoom training. You could also reach out to any of us as well. One of the things that was in there had to do with trainings such as these. So if you want to take the poll, if there's anything you're interested in learning about in terms of education that could help you and empower you to be a better advocate, please let us know either through email or taking the poll. But we're here for you. We want to make sure that you're confident when you're advocating on behalf of clients and staff and getting ready to make that video for Elisa and Marissa. So we're going to give you the confidence to do that and be able to speak up on behalf of those clients and staff. If there are no questions, Elisa and Marissa, thank you again. Appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you all in May for our noon and 7 p.m. training. They'll be offered in the afternoon and evening for the rest of the year. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing PA advocates who are coming to the Capitol tomorrow. I will see you at 7 o'clock in the morning. Have a good day.
I have a good one.